Hi, hello, good morning. So I know this is like really weird, but I'm going to be posting these videos on Edmodo. I'm also going to be posting these videos on YouTube. I'm going to put all these links and everything that you need on Edmodo for you to watch. The purpose of this is for you to still have kind of like the same structure that we've had in class with the PowerPoint slides, taking notes. I'm going to be posting the YouTube videos that are attached with this lesson on Edmodo, in addition to CPOMs and what you can do from there at home. Now, I would also make sure to please take pretty detailed notes on this material. This is a pretty long unit. Also, remember that you can always contact me via email, via Edmodo. I will respond pretty quickly. But let's get started. So, our lesson is going to be talking about the structure and function of cells. So, everything about cells. Our unit essential question is going to be, how do these structures and processes of a cell enable it to survive and be classified in the scientific community? So our standard, this standard is going to be typed into CPOM. So when you go to CPOM's website, you're going to click the standard button. It's going to have a little box appear. That is where you're going to type this number, letters and numbers into it. You are going to click on the standard itself. After you type it in, you're going to press enter, you're going to click on it. Then you're going to go down to the student original tutorial to help you out. So in the student original tutorial, you're going to be able to watch a lesson of this particular standard, in addition to have activities online with immediate feedback. So for this particular structure, or for this particular standard, we're going to be investigating and explaining the components of the scientific theory of cells. So cell theory, where all organisms are composed of cells, whether it's single-celled or multicellular, and that all cells are coming from pre-existing cells, as they are the basic units of life. If you do have your textbook at home, this is going to be on page 350 to 357 for you to have access to. If you do not worry. There's many resources online that I'll be posting. In addition, my notes and my PowerPoints come directly from the textbook, enough for you to be able to answer the questions. So we're going to have 2 sets of questions per week. One of them are going to be called discussion questions, which are going to be completed by Thursday. Thursday is our official science lecture day via Zoom. On Thursday, we're going to be reviewing the discussion questions. We're going to get immediate feedback with all the class. And on Friday, we are going to have the lesson check questions due. So for the lesson check questions, you're going to have to either message me, type them up, and message me through Edmodo the answers of them. There's going to be 5 lesson check questions per week. Make sure you answer these in depth. Please do not give me one-word answers. Please do not give me a very, very short sentence. Most of these require at least 3 to 4 sentences per question. Be as detailed as you can and take effective notes. All right, let's get started. So cells. What does a whale, a rose, bacteria, a ladybug all have in common? Well, they're all composed of living things, of cells. They're all going to be living things or an organism. Since these cells, they are the basic units of structure and function in living things. Cells are going to be able to form all the parts of an organism and carry out all the functions needed to reproduce and grow. Some organisms can be composed of just one cell, like bacteria, for example, while we as humans, animals, things like that, are going to be made up of trillions and trillions of cells. Cell structure. The structure of an object refers to what it is made of and how its parts are put together. For example, the structure of a car depends on how materials such as plastic, metal, and rubber are arranged. The structure of a living thing is determined by the amazing variety of ways its cells are put together. So depending on the cell structure is going to determine what the cell function is going to be. So for example, just like a car, if a car is extremely aerodynamic, it's going to be able to go a lot faster than, for example, a Nissan Cube. A Nissan Cube is probably not going to get you too fast in comparison to a very aerodynamic car, like let's say like a Lamborghini. The structure of the car is going to be very different. So the more aerodynamic it is, the faster that the car is going to go. A cell function. A single cell has the same needs as an entire organism. For a cell to stay alive, it must perform biological functions. Those functions include obtaining energy, bringing in nutrients and water, and getting rid of waste. Most organisms have bodies with many different cells that work together to help the organism stay alive, grow, and reproduce. For example, cells in your circulatory system move blood around your body. This blood provides you with the fresh oxygen and removes the waste product carbon dioxide. Cells in your heart pump blood to every part of you. Your body's cells work together to keep you alive. So, like I just said, think about your blood. Okay, your blood is able to transport oxygen to all muscles in your body. If that did not occur, eventually, you're gonna die, right? Because we need oxygen for our heart, for example. Remember, the heart is a muscle. Also, it's going to be picking up that waste product, carbon dioxide. It's very important for carbon dioxide to be exhaled from our body. So always remember, we inhale oxygen, so we take in oxygen, and we exhale or we take out carbon dioxide. Now, in plants, is a complete opposite. Plants are going to be inhaling or taking in carbon dioxide, while they're going to be exhaling or taking out this oxygen byproduct, which we are going to turn in, or we're going to take in. That's why it is very, very important for us to really take care of our planet in order to keep that balanced. We're going to move on to cell theory. So it wasn't really until the 1600s that scientists realized that living organisms were made up of cells. The invention of the microscope, an instrument that makes small objects appear larger, made this discovery possible. So the technology of the microscope led to new knowledges of how life is going to be organized. As this technology improved over time, scientists were able to gather new information about cells and how they function. Science put all these discoveries together to develop a theory about cells. In the mid-1600s, though, there's an English scientist named Robert Hooke that was able to build his very own microscope to study these small cells. So in the beginning, he started off by looking at tree bark. So Hooke was able to thought that all these tiny little gaps that he looked under a microscope as he put the bark down, he called them cells. He didn't know what these empty spaces were. He was confused. Obviously, the first microscope wasn't going to be extremely detailed. You could just kind of barely see a figure, a bark figure, a little empty space. And in that, he started to begin to wonder what these spaces were, and he called them cells. Now, in 1672, Dutch businessman Anton van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe these living cells through a microscope. He saw many tiny organisms swimming and hopping around in a pond of water. He named them animalcules, or little animals. So remember, Hooke invented the first microscope, and he only looked at these very small spaces that he called them cells. Now, in 1674, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe actual organisms under the microscope through the use of a drop of pond water. So the difference in that is that one observed just pretty much saw spaces and called them cells, while the other one actually saw things in the water, for example, moving. So he was able to first see these first cells. So like we see in this picture right here on the right hand side, we can see that this organism is made or composed of pretty much one particular cell here in the middle with this small little tail. So these are the organisms that you can see under a microscope in a regular pond water. So if you just go outside, you have a pond nearby, if you take a drop and you put it under a microscope, you're going to see many of these. They're going to be moving hysterically, pretty much. They're confused on what is happening, but that is what we're going to see. All right, so by 1838, Matthias Schleiden, a scientist working with plants, noticed that all plants are made up of cells. A year later, Theodor Schwann came to the conclusion that animals were made up of animal cells. So remember, so at this point, since they didn't really understand cells, they didn't know anything, they pretty much thought that animal cells and plant cells were two completely different things. Now we know that yes, they are different things, but they share a lot of many characteristics that we're going to get into the days to come. So before Schleiden and Schwann's suggestion that organisms are made up of cells, not much was known about the structure of these organisms. So these two scientists are credited with the development of the cell theory, where each scientist proposed a hypothesis. So remember, a hypothesis is a possible answer to a scientific question. So it's pretty much a guess of what you think is going to happen. Their hypothesis were supported through the observation and experiments that other scientists led to a theory about cells and all living things. So I'm going to keep this video very short for you to be able to go back, take notes. If you have any questions about this, this is just the beginning. So it's pretty easy to understand just cell theory, where it came about. Remember, it started in the 1600s. It evolved through all of these scientists that are very famous now for creating the cell theory that we still use to this day. And in addition, remember that everything is made up of cells, animals, plants, amoeba, bacteria, everything like that. They all have very specific functions in order to help all of us grow, reproduce, and for cells to be obviously reproducing as well. Now, like I said, remember, these videos are going to be posted on YouTube and Edmodo for you to have access to. If you have any questions, please message me, and thank you.